You probably think you know what rich looks like. You see the guy down the street driving a brand new $80,000 Tesla. You see the family taking 3 luxury vacations a year and posting it all over Instagram. You look at your own bank account. You look at your own mortgage, and you feel a knot in your stomach. You feel like you are doing something fundamentally wrong. You are working 50 hours a week. You are following all the rules, but somehow you are falling behind while everyone else is getting ahead. But what if I told you that the guy in the Tesla is actually closer to bankruptcy than he is to becoming a millionaire? What if I told you that the entire American middle class is currently living through a mass financial hallucination? In 2026, the definitions of poor, comfortable, and rich have been completely rewritten. The financial finish line didn't just move. The banks and the government took the finish line and hid it from you. Today, we are going to look at the exact net worth numbers that define where you actually stand in the financial hierarchy. We are going to strip away the illusion of the fancy cars and the big houses and look at the brutal mathematical truth. I am going to show you exactly why $1 million might just mean you are lower middle class and the exact number you actually need to hit to be immune to the system. Before we tear down the illusion, let me introduce myself. I am Ryan. I spent years obsessing over why the hardest working people I knew were always the most stressed about money, while the people who seemed to do nothing were building massive wealth. I realized the game is rigged, and I started this channel to give you the cheat codes to beat it. If you are tired of the mainstream financial media lying to you, and you want the actual math to build your freedom, hit that subscribe button right now. We are building a community of people who refuse to be trapped by the system. Let's start with the most dangerous tier. Tier 1. The new poor. When you hear the word poor, you probably picture someone struggling to put food on the table. You picture minimum wage. But that is the old definition. The new poor in America is wearing a suit to work. The new poor is making $80,000 or even $120,000 a year. How is that possible? It comes down to a concept called the high-income, zero-wealth trap. The system is perfectly designed to extract every single dollar you make before it ever has a chance to turn into wealth. The new poor are highly educated, highly stressed, and highly leveraged. Let's look at the math. If you make $100,000 a year, the government takes 30%. You are left with $70,000. You have a mortgage on a house that you bought at the top of the market, which eats up $25,000. You have 2 car payments that eat up another $10,000. You have student loans, childcare, groceries inflated by 30% over the last 5 years, and skyrocketing insurance premiums. At the end of the month, the guy making $100,000 has exactly the same amount of money left over as the guy making $40,000. Zero. The new poor have a net worth that is actually negative. They owe the bank more than they own, but they don't feel poor because they are surrounded by nice things. This is the most brilliant trap the banking system ever invented. They figured out that if they let you drive a luxury car and live in a nice zip code, you will happily hand over 1/3 of your income in interest payments for the rest of your life. You are a premium, high-yielding asset for a bank. You aren't building wealth, you are the product. If your net worth is under $100,000, regardless of what your salary is, you are in the new poor tier. You are one medical emergency, one corporate layoff, or one broken transmission away from a total financial collapse. You have zero breathing room. Your boss owns your time, the bank owns your assets, and the government owns your income. But what happens when you finally break out of that? What happens when you pay off the cars, build some equity in your home, and stack up some money in your 401k? You graduate to Tier 2. Welcome to the comfortable trap. This is where the vast majority of successful Americans think they want to be. This tier is defined by a net worth of roughly $300,000 to about $1.5 million. On paper, if you have a net worth of $1 million in 2026, you are doing great. You probably have a nice house with a lot of equity. You have a solid retirement account. You don't panic when the water heater breaks because you have an emergency fund. You can afford to take your family on a nice vacation every year without putting it on a credit card. You feel safe. But this safety is an illusion. It is a velvet prison. Here is the psychological reality of being comfortable. You have just enough money to be terrified of losing it, but not enough money to actually be free. You are wearing golden handcuffs. When you are in the comfortable tier, you are completely reliant on the status quo. You can't quit the job you hate because you have a massive lifestyle to maintain. You have property taxes, you have private school tuition, You have the maintenance costs of your beautiful suburban life. Your cost of being you has magically expanded to consume your entire net worth. This is called hedonic adaptation. The more you make, the more expensive your baseline becomes. And here is the terrifying math about that $1 million net worth. Most of it is trapped in your house. You can't go to the grocery store and chip off a piece of your drywall to buy groceries. You are what we call house rich and cash poor. If you take your $1 million net worth, subtract the $500,000 tied up in your primary residence, you are left with $500,000 in investments. If you use the standard 4% withdrawal rule for retirement, that $500,000 generates exactly $20,000 a year in income. Let that sink in. You worked for 30 years. You sacrificed. You saved. You hit the magic millionaire mark. And your reward is a passive income of $20,000 a year. That is below the poverty line. This is why the comfortable tier is a trap. The media tells you that you made it, but the math tells you that you have to wake up on Monday morning and go back to work. You are just a highly paid employee who is financing a very expensive lifestyle. You are comfortable, yes, but you are absolutely not free. You are still trading the best hours of your life for a paycheck. So what does it actually mean to be rich in 2026? Tier 3 is the truly wealthy. And I am not talking about private jets and super yachts. I am talking about the mathematical threshold where you become untouchable. To be considered truly rich today, you need a net worth of roughly $3 million to $5 million, and more importantly, it has to be structured correctly. The defining characteristic of the rich tier has nothing to do with what you own. It has everything to do with what you control. The truly wealthy do not measure their success by the total number in their bank account. They measure it by cash flow and time freedom. When you hit $3 million in productive, income-generating assets, like rental properties, dividend stocks, or automated businesses, the math finally tips in your favor. $3 million, generating a conservative 6% return, creates $180,000 a year in completely passive income. This is the tipping point. This is the fortress of solitude. When your assets produce more cash every month than your lifestyle consumes, your relationship with reality changes. You no longer work for money. Money works for you. If the economy crashes, you are fine. Your cash flow covers your life. If your boss yells at you, you can stand up, walk out the door, and your standard of living does not drop by a single penny. You buy back your Tuesday mornings. You buy back your health. You buy back the ability to sit in your backyard and do absolutely nothing without feeling a shred of guilt or panic. The people in the rich tier understand a fundamental law of human psychology that the middle class ignores. True wealth is not the ability to buy anything you want. True wealth is the ability to reject anything you don't want. It is the power of the word no. The system doesn't want you to know this. The government wants you to stay in the new poor tier because you generate tax revenue. The banks want you to stay in the comfortable tier because you generate interest payments and management fees. If everyone woke up tomorrow and decided to aim for the rich tier by lowering their consumption and buying income-producing assets, the entire consumer economy would grind to a halt. They need you to keep buying cars you can't afford. They need you to keep upgrading your house every 7 years. They need you to stay on the treadmill. So, how do you break the cycle? How do you move from the anxiety of the new poor, bypass the trap of the comfortable, and actually reach the rich tier? It requires a complete rewiring of your brain. You have to stop playing the game by their rules. Rule number 1. You must ruthlessly audit your ego. The reason most people are broke at $100,000 a year is because they are playing a status game with people they don't even like. You have to stop caring what the neighbor in the Tesla thinks. His car is leased, his house is leveraged, and his stress levels are through the roof. Let him have the fake status. You want the real freedom. Rule number 2. You have to separate your time from your income. As long as you are trading 1 hour of work for 1 hour of pay, you have a mathematical ceiling on your wealth. There are only 24 hours in a day. You have to start buying or building machines that make money while you sleep. Whether that is an online business, a portfolio of dividend-paying index funds, or real estate. Every spare dollar you have must be deployed as a soldier to go out and capture more dollars. Rule number 3. You must automate your wealth creation. Human beings are emotionally weak. If you leave your money sitting in a checking account, your brain will find a reason to spend it. You will convince yourself you need a new phone, a nicer dinner, or a better vacation. The truly wealthy remove the human element. They set up systems where their investments are funded automatically on the first of the month before they even see the money. They pay their future selves first, and they force themselves to live on whatever is left over. You have to realize that the $1 million dream is dead. It is a ghost from the 1990s. If you are aiming for $1 million, you are aiming to be average. You are aiming to be comfortable, anxious, and stuck. You need to aim higher. You need to aim for cash flow. You need to aim for the exact dollar amount that covers your absolute ideal lifestyle without you having to lift a finger. Look at your bank account today. Look at your assets. Which tier are you actually in? Are you the new poor, funding the bank's profits? Are you comfortable, wearing golden handcuffs and terrified of losing your job? Or are you on the path to becoming truly rich, building a fortress that no one can touch? The math doesn't care about your feelings. The math doesn't care about the car in your driveway. The math only cares about cash flow. If you are realizing right now that you are playing the wrong game, don't panic. Awareness is the first step to escaping the matrix. The fact that you are watching this means you are already ahead of 90% of the population who is perfectly happy staying asleep on the treadmill. But now that you know the exact numbers, you need to know where to actually start. You can't jump to $3 million overnight. You have to trigger the first domino. There is a very specific mathematical threshold where you stop being a victim of the system and you start becoming a threat to it. In my next video, I break down the $10,000 rule that makes you financially dangerous. I am going to show you exactly how to hit that first major milestone, how it permanently rewires your brain's relationship with money, and how it gives you the ultimate leverage over your boss and the banks. Click the video on the screen right now, and let's make you dangerous. I will see you over there.